good pattern lovers, it's still right here. Welcome to part 2 of our video, and in this part we are going to be learning how to cut the fitted gown, the snatched gown. Now to get started, I'm going to go ahead to divide my pattern paper into 2, and by doing that I'm going to be taking the largest measurement in my body, which is my hip measurement, divided by 4, and then I'll be adding 2 inches. So if I'm dividing 40 by 4, that is 10, and then plus 2 inches, that gives me 12 inches. So I'm going to go ahead to mark out 12 inches on both sides of my pattern paper, which is 24 inches divided by 2, which is 12 inches. So the next thing I'm doing right now is to take out my horizontal measurement, and I'll be starting with my chest line and my bust point. My chest line, so if you notice guys, this means that we're cutting out both our front and our back pattern together, our front block and our back block together. So I'm just going to go ahead and label that out, our chest line and our bust point. Next thing I'll be taking out is my waistline, and I'm going to be starting that on my back pattern, on my back piece. I've gone ahead to label that back and front so that I'll know what I am working with. So I've gone ahead to mark out my waistline on my back piece. Now if you want me to make a video on how to take accurate body measurements, please drop that in the comment section and I'll be happy to do that. So the waistline measurement from my back, when I took my measurement, was for 14.75. I've gone ahead to mark that, and I have marked out my hip line measurement, which is 9 inches away from my waistline. Next thing I'm doing right now is to mark out my shoulder measurement, which is 7. I'm just going to mark that out vertically, and after that I'm going to be going down by 1 inch on my shoulder slope, and I'm going to be dividing that line into 2, and I'm coming in by 0.5 inch. I use my straight ruler to connect the points from the 0.5 inch to the 1 inch point on my shoulder slope, and I'm also going to go in with my curve ruler to connect from the 0.5 inch slope down to my chest line. Next thing I'll be doing right now is to mark out my neckline, and I'm using the square neckline with a little bit of the Queen Anne, a little mix of the Queen Anne measurement. Okay, sorry, this is for the back piece, so we're just going to do a normal round neckline. Sorry about that guys. And I went in by 3.5 inch, and I'm just going to connect that point to that point, my shoulder rise to my shoulder slope. Next thing I'll be doing is to take out my bust measurement, which is 9 inch, my bust measurement divided by 4, which gives me 9, and I'll be taking my waist measurement, which is also plus my dart measurement. And with these guys, I just remember that I haven't drafted out my dart measurement, so I'm just going to be going in from my center back by 4 inches, which is 4 inches is my nipple to nipple point, which is also known as bust span, and that is 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So I've marked that out, and I'm going to connect the lines. I've gone ahead to connect the lines together, and I'm going up from my hip line by 3 inches and coming down from my chest line by 1 inch, and I'm just going to be connecting those dots together. The dart allowance I'm giving is 1 inch, which is 0.5 inch on each side of the line. So by the time you're done, you're supposed to have this shape. I'm just going to go ahead and also label that out. So if you're going to be measuring your waistline measurement, you're going to be putting your waistline measurement plus your dart measurement. You're going to input in both the dart measurement on your waistline so that you do not have issues when cutting and sewing. I've also gone ahead to input my hip measurement, and I have connected those dots together. And the next thing I'm going to be doing is to measure my gown length, the length of my gown, and I realized that the length of my gown is actually the same length with my pattern paper, so I just connected that dot down. I brought down my hip measurement, which is 10, down to the length of my gown, and I just connected the points from the hip line to the gown length. Next thing I'll be doing is the back tightening, and as you can see on the waistline, I went inward by 0.5 inch, and on the waistline also I went upward and downward by 0.5 inch. Remember, I went inward by 0.75 inch, and then I went upward and downward by 0.5 inch, and I'm just going to be connecting those lines together, those points together, just like you see me do so right here. Please note, if you feel I'm too fast, you can just pause the video and watch what I do, or slow the video down in your settings. I went upward and downward by 0.5 inch and inward by 0.75 inch. I'm moving to the neckline. Like I said earlier already, I'm using a square neckline with a little bit of Queen Anne. So I'm just gonna head to connect my I went inward by 3.5 inch, and I am coming down. My neck depth is 6 inches, and I am coming inward by 2 more inches extra from the shoulder, and then I'm just going to be connecting those lines together. You can see the slanted shape is giving Queen Anne at the top, and downward is just square neckline. Next thing I'll be doing also here, guys, is to mark out my vertical measurements. I'm just going to be imputing my body measurements, my hip line, my bust point, my bust measurement, my waist measurement, and I'm going to be connecting those dots together. And once again, guys, I forgot to impute my dart measurements first. Please do not be like me. I already know these measurements in my head, so I just add them up already. So please make sure you take your dart measurement first before you impute your normal body measurement, so you don't make mistake, especially on the waistline where you have to impute your dart intake to your measurement. So for the front piece, I took that intake of 0.75 because the front piece, we have the bust and we need that extra contour to shaping the bust area to the waist point. So this is what it's looking like right now. And next thing we're going to be doing is our bust dart. We're going to be taking our bust dart. Now, to get your bust dart, you'll be doing your front waistline. You'll be doing your front waistline minus your back waistline, meaning I'm going to be minusing 14.75 from 16.75, and what I'll be getting is 2 inches, and I'm going to be putting that downward from my bust point on the center front line. On the center line, you can see how I did that, and I'm making a an angle, and I've connected that 1 inch away from my bust from the dart line, and I've connected that to the other point. Next thing I'm doing is my tightening for my hemline, and like I said, I'm just doing a 1 inch tightening. So I'm taking 1 inch from my center front line and 1 inch from my center back line. 1 inch from my center front line and 1 inch from my side front line, and I've just gone ahead to connect those points to the hip line. So what I am doing next is the neck tightening. I'm so sorry guys, I actually didn't realize that my camera wasn't catching that, but you will see what I did there later on in the video. I actually just made a little bit of angle and just took in 0.25 on each side, and I just did that for my neck tightening. I've gone ahead to also label my pattern paper. Always do that because labeling serves as a guide when you're cutting out your pattern paper. For the neck tightening, I'm going to be explaining more on that. Yeah, as you can see, I just went ahead to draw a straight line to connect to the neckline, and I took out 0.25 inch on both sides of the line, and I just connected that down to the bust point. So next thing we're doing now is to just cut. I'm going to be showing you how to cut. Please pay very close attention. For the back tightening, you're not cutting it all the way. You're not cutting through. You're just cutting to the side back line. You watch how I do it. You're not going to cut it all the way out. You're just cutting it to a little bit. You see that it still holds. There's still like a little bit of pattern paper. There's still a little bit of paper holding it down at the end, and then I'm going to go upward and I'm going to cut the 0.75 inch out. The next thing I'm going to be doing is that I'm just going to be placing this down. By the time you're done cutting it out, your lines must align, all your points must align, and if it doesn't, then you have definitely done something wrong. I'm going to be going in with my masking tape, and I'm just going to hold that down together because it's one piece. It's a one-piece gown, so we can actually be able to cut it out on our fabric, and that is what we have. Moving over to the front piece, we're just going to, the first thing you want to do is to divide the upper bodice block from the skirt block. You're going to just divide that and then cut. Now for the upper block of the front piece, the first thing we're going to be doing is that because we are going to be taking in I want to close my bust dart and the tightening I did on the neck. I don't want that to come out on my fabric. I just want a waist dart to be on my fabric. So I'm going to be opening up my waist dart, and I'm just going to stop just almost at the bust point line. So the next thing I want to do is that I'm going to return my bust dart to the exact bust point, not 1 inch away from the bust point now, but exactly at the bust point, and I'm just going to close that up like you see me do right here. I'm going to close that up, and I'm just to be sure, I'm going to go in with my masking tape, and I'm just going to hold that down. Now for the neck tightening, I'm just going to repeat the same thing. Please make sure you're folding exactly on your lines, so you're not taking too much or you're not taking less, or else your measurements will be altered. So make sure you're folding on exactly that line. And you see that as we close the neck tightening and the bust the bust dart, the waist that keeps expanding, meaning we've transferred our darts to the waist dart. So if you're closing this dart and your waist dart is not expanding, then you have done something wrong. So I'm just going in with my ruler and my marker, and I'm making the lines extra straight, because when you fold your pattern paper like that, it alters the line. So we're just going to make our new lines, our new front line and our new neckline, our new center front, side front line, and I'm just going to cut that out. I believe you understand what I said there. So I'm just cutting that out, cut out my neck slope, cut out my neckline, so that we can know what to do next with our waist darts. So I'm just going to go ahead and label my pattern paper again. You guys already know my thing with labeling. You must label. So for the waist dart, you're going to take out a fresh paper, something a little bit bigger than this or something like this if you want, just to be sure. And I've gone ahead to place that paper, and I just held that down with my masking tape. So now, to get my new waistline, I am going to get the center of my new darts, because we have new dart lines. Our dart lines are wider, and I'm going to be folding it in just like we closed our waist, our bust dart and our neckline tightening. I'm just going to be folding that in on our dart legs, and by the time you're done, you see that the bust cup area has already formed, even without you doing anything. So we're going to be taking our ruler, and we're just going to mark out from the center front point to the side front point. Make sure you have enough paper to reach at least 1 inch to the center front point and 1 inch to the center to the side front point. And then when I'm done, this is what you're supposed to have. And then I went in with my tracing wheel also, and I traced that out. So by the time you're done with all of this, you're supposed to have a triangular shape, a little bit of an angle in the middle of your dart legs. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut out all the excess paper I do not need from the back, so it doesn't alter my pattern. And that is all, guys. We are done cutting. So by the time you place your upper piece and your lower piece together, it is supposed to align. And if it doesn't align, you have done something wrong again. So this is me. By the time you close all your darts, they are supposed to align together. And that is all. The next thing we're going to do is to take it to our fabric, and there I have gone ahead to do that off camera. I have cut it with my fabric. I gave 1 inch allowances for the side, and 1 inch allowance for my zipper allowance for the back piece, and so on. For my neckline, I gave 0.5 inch allowance, and you can see I've also gone ahead to cut it on my lining. I've cut out my sleeve. I didn't do a pattern for sleeve, but if you want me to show you how to cut out a sleeve pattern, you can actually leave that in the comment section, and I'll be happy to make a video on that too. So the next thing we're going to do is take this to our machine and sew. There, guys, I'm done joining all my pieces together. And remember our corset from part 1. We have also fixed our eyelet holes on our corset, and this is me just showing off with my lacing skills. So guys, there are different ways to lace your corset, and these different ways can actually determine how snatched your corset comes out. If you also want me to do a video of that, I'll be glad to teach you my special lacing technique I use for lacing my corset. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you guys in another exciting video. We'll be learning other fun and creative things. Please do not forget to subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, share, and drop a comment. This is the outcome of it, and you can see how snatched that looks. No zipper bulge at the back. Everything is nice and smooth. Please do well to make yours and get back to me. Bye.